So let's see, is it working? Yeah, okay, it is. All right, good afternoon, class. I wanted to go ahead and sort of give a brief lecture for this week and welcome our embedded residential Camden County Coastal Pines librarian Lorna into our particular session here, and she's going to talk about some of the resources and tools that the library has to offer as it relates to databases and Galileo, how to go about finding those 6 scholarly sources that you will need for your upcoming research paper. And if you have any questions, she will give you that contact information. And obviously, you can always email me and I can relay the message to her as well. So, Lorna, if you want to go ahead and get started, we will be more than welcome to welcome you into the course.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Lorna, and I'm happy to be here. I hope everybody's having a great afternoon when you watch this, or morning. So I'd like to go over some research materials that will be really useful to you when you get your paper and when you start getting like rocking and rolling with it. So as you can see on my screen, we are at the Coastal Pines login homepage. To get to the library resources, what you would do is go over here to current students, and then underneath academics, you'll go down to library. And here you are at our screen. There's something I really want to point out before I get into anything else, is that all of our library pages will have this nice window over here. This is a 24/7 chat box. So whenever you decide to work on your paper, whether it's 2 in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the morning, there is a librarian here to assist you, and you can just text away. If that's not convenient for you, then underneath is a text a librarian. That number, just text it like you're texting your friend. It works kind of the same way, and a librarian will text you back in real time. And above that, most all of our pages have this Stingray library catalog and Galileo links, which means that regardless of which page you're on in the library services area, you can always go to the catalog itself, and you can go to Galileo. You can also access the books up here through the Stingray library catalog, and you can access the databases through Galileo using this link as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you the Stingray library catalog, which is this page here. And we're going to go to the library catalog. Since it is near Halloween, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make my topic point Edgar Allan Poe. Of course, I misspelled that, but let's see what it does with the misspelling. Because I missed a D. Okay, let's go back and try that again. So if I'm looking for Edgar Allan Poe here as my research topic, then I want to see what the library has actually available. And it looks like there's a lot. We do not have that many materials because the Stingray library catalog will pull books, electronic books, as well as journals, and it just has a kind of a compendium, so it can be a little bit overwhelming. The main primary sources here are going to be your best bets in general, but it'll with varying degrees of access. So if you see online access, then that means that the book is available online. I'll get back to that in just a second. But say you actually want a physical copy of Edgar Allan Poe to look at. You read better off of a page. I'm one of those people. Then you would go over here to available in the library. And here you can see the books that are available in our collection, as well as their location. So here we have selected poems and tales, and that's actually here in my library in Camden. If you were closer to Jessup, then there's poetry and tales in Jessup Library. And And it looks like Waycross has some too. But say, for instance, you are closer to the Golden Isles location in Brunswick, but the book that you want is in Jessup, or maybe, you find a book and it's in Waycross and you happen to live closer to Camden. Well, there's no problem there. Please don't feel that you need to drive out to Waycross or drive to Golden Isles to get a book or drive to Jessup. Simply just come and talk to the librarian that is closest to you and request that book that way. We will send for the book and we'll have it to you. Typically, it is between 2 to 4 days usually, but we usually try to have a pretty quick turnaround because we know that your time is very valuable and you want to get a move on with your work. So you can always collect those. I'm going to go back out and I'm going to explore the full text online. And say I want to look at The Fall of the House of Usher in the classic edition. I can click on this, which is going to bring it over to the database, and it's going to tell me where everything is. So then I can click on the ProQuest eBook Central Academic Complete. And here is The Fall of the House of Usher, which I can read it, or if I don't have time to read it at the moment, I can just download it, or if I want to download it as a PDF, I can. So I'm going to go ahead and click Read Online. And here's also the material. And as you see, The Fall of the House of Usher is quite a long piece. But say if I wanted it to mention something, I want to look for the word, I can't remember if I read something about the word gloom. So I want to find out exactly where that is in the book. Well, I can go ahead and I can search within this book and I can find the word gloom. And I'm going to see if it's anywhere else. And it seems like gloom is quite periodic throughout the text. So that's kind of cool that I can actually search for the term that I'm looking for without actually having to read the entire piece in its entirety to know if this is something that I actually need. Another cool thing too is, as with all of our electronic resources, you can cite them. So this takes a little bit of guesswork out, especially if you are doing an annotated bibliography. You can simply just find your source, whether it is MLA, which will be for Patrick Wilson's course, or if you are in other courses that require APA, regardless of what course you're in, you can always cite, and this just copy and paste it into your bibliography at the end of your paper. And of course, if you're joining us and you have any questions, please just let me know. So that's kind of how ebooks work here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get out of this. Another thing that you can do while you're in the Stingray library catalog, let me go back to the result, the search results list, is you can actually look at peer-reviewed journals. This can work somewhat. Sometimes it will go through and actually bring you to the article, and sometimes it can yield a citation or just an abstract rather. So you can click on the journal articles and then go through to the online access, and it may link you to a useful article that way. As far as I'll just go ahead and click this one. As far as works go, it is not the Stingray Library Catalog is not exhaustive when it comes to the journal articles that are on that specific topic. It does have some. The better way would definitely be going through Galileo. But regardless, here I've clicked through the Stingray Library Catalog and I can see the HTML full text. I should be able to see it anyway. Let me get the PDF full text and see what that does. And it's loading. Perfect. So As you can see, you can actually see the text in its entirety. While I'm here, once again, you can always cite your sources, and it'll have a citation format. So typically when you get into EBSCOhost, it's always going to be over here on the right-hand side of the page. But the easier and more straightforward way to actually find a journal article is going to be through Galileo itself. So I'm going to get out of here, lots of backspacing. And I'm going to go down to Galileo. And I can click Galileo here. And I'm just going to give you a generic overview as far as databases go. Galileo has a lot of everything. If you were to use this search bar here in the center, it's just going to give you results on everything. So if I go to and I click on Edgar Allan Poe and I click search, then it's going to give me 79,000 results because it's going to pull everything from across Galileo itself. Even limiting, as I highly recommend any results that you get, limit to full text and then scholarly peer-reviewed journals. Even doing so whittles it down but to 11,000, which is still a lot to kind of go through and see if that's what you need. Some of these are in other languages, so you can always go down here and you can always select your language based on preference and what works the best for you. And then, of course, you can limit to academic journals, reviews, books, magazines. Like I said, this was the initial search, so it has a lot of everything. So, and you can narrow your focus down that way. It may take a little bit. But then once you've done that, then you can go on and you can click. And you can find your PDF full text. You can also save this to your Google Drive. You can add it to a folder. You can print it. You can email it, save it, cite it, export it. So the journal articles are pretty flexible. And they'll be like before. But an easier way to navigate Galileo, regardless of what your topic is going to generally, my favorite one to use is databases by subject. So whatever my topic is, I'm going to find what closely matches it and check there. Galileo is something that's a tool, you can't really break it. So definitely check it out, just try and experiment. And that's kind of the best way to do a learning curve with it. So these are the literature databases. So we have ProQuest, Salem Literature, Reference Plus, and going down. My recommendation is when you find multiple databases, don't give up after the first database. If the first database does not give you exactly what you're looking for, check out these other databases too, because there may be articles that are in one that are definitely not in another. So you can click on ProQuest, One Literature. That's one of my favorites. And it should pull up Edgar Allan Poe as a subject. And here it's going to give me criticism on Edgar Allan Poe. It's going to give me a little bit about who he was. It's going to give me primary texts, author pages, reference works, audio and video, dissertations, book reviews, secondary sources. It's kind of, ProQuest is kind of a one-stop shop when it comes to actually finding out something in literature. But ProQuest is also available for other areas too if your paper is on another subject. You can also search databases by type, which is helpful if you're looking for a direct source, if you're just looking for biographies specifically, or if you're just looking for an ebooks only, or if you're specifically just looking at newspapers or you only want encyclopedias, then you can go that route as well. My personal favorite and the easiest way to find information that takes a lot of the guesswork out is by going to Libguides. And I recommend that for anything, regardless of what your specialty is, what your topic is. Today I'll be talking about the English and Literature Libguide. which I'm going to scroll down to now. There it is. Because it has everything in it. The library staff here at CPTC, we work really hard trying to find resources and kind of take the guesswork out. So that way your research process is a lot more smooth, and you have sources to check out and you know where to go first. So as with always, we have our Ask a Librarian boxes, as I mentioned before, as well as the Stingray links. We'll have the Stingray library catalog, as well as some selected books. Sometimes we swap these things out, but these are kind of the things that we have. And then down here, we'll have the journal articles and the English and literature databases. So these are the ones that we are big fans of, to come back and check out. Things that will be helpful as far as scholarly resources. We even have videos, so if you actually would like to watch the play of Macbeth, you would be able to do so. And actually going into academic video online, this is our newest database, and it is very nifty. I'm a big fan of it. So I'm going to do and here I can see that I can click on William Shakespeare. Looks like there's a lot going on here, so I can find Macbeth, which has been performed by the Royal Theatre Company. I can also cite this video because I don't want to watch the video with a pen and paper trying to understand what the individuals are saying. I can also go here to the transcript and I can click ahead and find where someone has said something. So I can use this in my paper as a direct quote, which kind of takes some of the guesswork out, which is really nice. And again, I can also cite it, which is really cool. So definitely check out the different databases. They can be very helpful as far as understanding things or finding resources. And of course, as I'd like to mention, and I'll mention this at the end too, is if you have any questions about your topic, regardless of what it is, I would love to talk to you about it. Just send me an email or give me a call, or if you're in Camden, swing by. If you'd like to talk to somebody in person and you're closer to another campus, I encourage you to talk to the library staff there. We are absolutely here to help. We have some tabs here on the side for grammar and citations, about how to evaluate sources, and MLA help. Another good resource before I go back to evaluating sources is the viewpoints. Opposing Viewpoints in Context is one of my favorite databases. I definitely recommend it, especially if you are doing an argumentative essay, a comparison essay, or anything like that, because then you can find anything about opposing viewpoints, and you'll have information on both sides of the spectrum. So the pros and the cons, as well as all the stances that are involved with the issue that you're looking for. So here I've typed in organic food. You have the featured viewpoints. They have academic journals. Again, this is kind of a one-stop shop. Featured viewpoints, the academic journals, viewpoints, reference, infographics, which is really cool, images, videos, audio, recent news that's happened, magazines, websites. So everything is definitely just right there at your fingertips. So if you're doing an argumentative or comparison contrast essay, I highly recommend Opposing Viewpoints. I'd like to take a second to go back to evaluating resources, because we have a lot of information at our fingertips, especially with Google, and even the stuff that you're seeing in Galileo, just to know if something is relevant or not. Because in Galileo, you may find journal articles that date back to the 1960s, and that may or may not be something that is relevant to your topic. If you were to do a paper on Shakespeare's King Lear, and you found a journal article from 1975, it may be beneficial because King Lear was written centuries ago. So the information may still be relevant as like a literary criticism. However, if you are in a field that is ever changing, like medical or technology, then you definitely want to make sure that your resources are within the past 5 years, or sooner, depending on how quickly that technology has changed. I'd like to draw your attention to the CRAP test, which is currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. And just kind of keep these information in mind, especially if you are going out and trying to Google resources. Currency is, of course, how timely is the information? Is it recent or is it up to date? Relevance is how is it relevant to your direct research? Who's the intended audience? Authority is who wrote the information and what are their credentials? How are they an expert? Accuracy is it truthful, can you find the information backed up by other research? And purpose is why does this information exist, and is it promoting something? Is it a particularly religious thing, or is it a political view or cultural view, and is it objective? The best resources will always be objective. So take a second to kind of like look over this evaluating resources. If you're ever unsure whether or not a source is good, or if you think you might be able to find a better one, please come and talk to me. And I'm more than happy to look at your resource and help you find like resources and similar resources that way. Using this information, of course, I'd like to go to just Google in general, and I am just going to click on, we'll go back to Edgar Allan Poe. And of course, it's a wealth of knowledge that has come back from Google. There's, of course, Wikipedia, but there's a lot to discern whether or not it's actually truthful information. How can you tell? Well, in a nutshell, the three best types of websites are going to be .orgs, .edus, and .govs. They typically are the most current, the most up-to-date, and the most factual. But you always want to check to see where your information actually came from. Going back to that CRAP test, I'm going to go here to the Poetry Foundation, which is a.org. So I'm going to click on here. Here's Edgar Allan Poe. And I'm going to go all the way down here to just typically at the bottom, where I can find information about us to see if this is actually a relevant resource. So I can contact people. Let's click on that and see what happens, because I want to see when this is actually cited. It looks like it is recently updated because it is a 2021 Poetry Foundation. I can click on Contact Us. It looks like it gives me an opportunity for me to put in my question, my query, but it also gives me an address, it gives me a phone number, and it gives me an email that I can email the people directly. So I can actually find out more information, and that's very important because valid information, especially if it's an article or if it's on a topic, the author is not afraid to not be contacted. They'll always have some kind of contact information, whether it is the authority themselves or if it's a organization on behalf of a person. There's always going to be some kind of information that you can look at. And if you can't find that information, I would maybe suggest finding another resource there, or trying to find information on Galileo itself. Likewise, again, with Britannica, I already know that this is, and some .coms are okay. .com just generally means .commerce. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be something that is going to be as checked as thoroughly as an .org or .edu or .gov. I might click on something like this. Smithsonian Magazine, for example, is a .com, but it's well known enough that it's going to be okay, because I can go down here, like I said, scrolling all the way to the bottom. There's the person that wrote it. She's an online reporter for the Smithsonian Magazine. I can click read more. I can find more about the things that she has wrote. I know that I can contact the Smithsonian Magazine if I have any questions. So it's generally looking at things just to see exactly how relevant and how timely they are. So, but before you explore Galileo in any, or not Galileo, but Google in any capacity, I definitely implore you to use Google. Oh, not Google, Galileo. I'm tripping over my words. Yes, use Galileo first before you even touch Google. Galileo is going to give you a wealth of knowledge, and chances are Galileo will provide you with all of the resources that you actually need before you go out to Google to try to find other resources too. So definitely use Galileo first. And if you're finding trouble finding articles or information on Galileo, again, I implore you, come to me first or one of your library staff before going to Google. Yeah, we are absolutely here to help. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always reach out to me. I'm going to go ahead and just scroll to my name here. My name is Lorna Reed. I'm a librarian at the Camden Library, room 1123. Here, this is my phone number is 912-522-4517, and my email is lreid@coastalpines.edu. So, and thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, please email me, call me. I'd love to talk to you.
Well, thank you, Lorna, for coming and going through this orientation with us. I'm sure over the next couple of weeks, you're probably going to get, I hope, some folks coming into the library, or at least.
Absolutely. I'm trying to stop sharing my screen. I'm sorry. There we go. I think I've stopped sharing myself.
Lorna, are you there?
I am, yes.
Yeah. I don't know if it's the internet here or what, but it seems like it wants to cut in and cut out a lot. But like I was saying, I definitely appreciate that you came to talk to the class. You went over the information that the library has to offer, not only here, but at our other sites. And I do hope that my students will start coming, or at least emailing or calling, and really picking your brain about some of their topics.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I think you covered everything really well, and I think that's really it for right now. I think at this point, it's just them sort of, narrow down a topic, start getting a research question and a thesis statement, and then really starting hitting the payment of the journey of research.
Yes, absolutely. And research can be a lot of fun. My suggestion is, of course, pick a topic that you feel like you're passionate about, that you are innately interested about, because if you're interested in that topic, your research will go by so much faster, and it'll be so much easier to kind of get into a nice rabbit hole of information, and the process will be a lot smoother.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And that's usually what I try to convey to them as well. It's a lot easier if you pick something that you already are a little bit, passionate about, or have a little bit of background knowledge, instead of, trying to do the most complicated. Research doesn't need to be complicated. I think we make it more complicated at times by doing that. We think that, the instructor wants this new novel idea, and we really don't. I mean, it's helpful if you do have something that's new and novel, but a lot of times this 1101 course is really that first academic proper research paper, and they want to go above and beyond sometimes, and that usually gets them in trouble if they can't really control it or don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I appreciate it. I don't want to take any more of your time. I think we're just going to sort of end the session as well. I think they have enough to sort of, I'm going to upload this here in a couple minutes so they can kind of rewatch it and watch it and as many times as need be. And hopefully we'll start getting some decent research papers coming in soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
Well, I appreciate it. And I guess until next time we do another orientation, which would be tomorrow,
Yes.
I will see you soon.
All right. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.